Hey everybody. So last night during the live stream I said that I would do a video today about the All Star Game rosters which were announced last night. Um, and I didn't want to just sit here and read off the rosters because you don't need me to do that. You can just Google it and read them yourself. That wouldn't really be a valuable video or anything that would be fun to watch. So while there are quite a few All-Star snubs, what I wanted to do for a video is about this last man in vote. Because the way it's set up now is the league, obviously the fans voted to pick the captains. And once the captains were picked, the league filled out the rest of the rosters with the exception of one last spot. Each division has one roster spot remaining, and there's a last man in vote where the fans get to pick the last person on each roster. And each division has 8 players who did not make the All-Star game, but are like the top players that didn't make it, and then you get to vote out of those 8 players who you want to be the last person to make the team in. So I'm going to go through each division, name off the who the last man candidates are, and then talk about which one I would pick and a little bit about why. So let's start in the Metropolitan Division. Your choices for the last person and last man in the Metro are Teuvo Teravainen of Carolina, Nick Foligno of Columbus, Kyle Palmieri of New Jersey, Anders Lee of the New York Islanders, Matt Zuccarello of the Rangers, Jake Voracek from the Flyers, Chris Letang from the Penguins, and Nicholas Backstrom from the Washington Capitals. And my last man pick for the Metro Division is from the New Jersey Devils, Kyle Palmieri. I almost spelled it, definitely just spelled his name wrong. That was stupid. Palmieri. Because Palmieri in 39 games this year has 20 goals already, 15 assists, and 35 points. So not quite a point per game player. I just wrote that way too big. I still got to do the Atlantic over there. That was dumb. 20, 15, 35. So he's not quite a point per game player. New Jersey as a whole have not had a very good season this year. But Palmieri has. He's got 20 goals already. He's done a lot of the scoring for New Jersey. New Jersey's player that is already going to the All-Star game is Taylor Hall. Palmieri, I think, should go with him because he's played a big part on this team. And even though the team isn't very good this year, he's having a great season and certainly is deserving. So I think it'd be nice to see Palmieri get that last man in vote and get to go to an All-Star game. Next, the Atlantic Division. Now, the Atlantic Division, I think, out of all the divisions, had the most snubs. Guys who absolutely should be going to the All-Star game, but aren't because, for whatever reason. I think Patrice Bergeron's a snub. Jeff Skinner is a huge snub. Mitch Marner, Braden Point, Alexander Barkov. The list goes on in the Atlantic Division of guys who aren't going because there's a very limited number of spots that should be. But who I would pick for the last man in, the number one snub from this year's All-Star game, I think overall, this guy is the number one snub from the All-Star game overall. From the Toronto Maple Leafs, and what as great of a year as Mitch Marner is having, it's not Mitch Marner. It is Morgan Rielly. Morgan Rielly has been unreal, as I spell his name wrong too. Good, nice 0 for 2 on the name spellings here. This is off to a good start. Rielly has been unreal this year, putting up points that you would expect from a center, not a defenseman. Rielly, in 39 games this year with Toronto, Rielly has 13 goals, 31 assists, and 44 points already. He's on pace for like well over a point per game. He might get to, I don't know if he'll get to 90 points, but he could get to 90 points as a freaking defenseman this year. 13 goals as a defenseman. 31 assists, 44 points as a defenseman, and he's not going to the All-Star game, yet Drew Doughty is, Brent Burns and Erik Karlsson, they all have to go from the Pacific Division just because they're big names. They all have to go. While Morgan Rielly has 44 points in 39 games as a defenseman, and he's not going, are you kidding me? That is an absolute joke. Morgan Rielly 100% should be going to the All-Star game. He, out of all the snubs, and there are a lot of snubs given this setup, this 3-on-3 setup, very limited number of roster spots in the All-Star game. You also add in the fact that every team has to send at least one player. You have players going just because they have to represent their team that shouldn't necessarily be going. Morgan Rielly 100% should be going. It's an absolute crime that he has 44 points in 39 games and he's not on this All-Star roster. That's a joke. But defensemen get screwed with this system too. Most divisions only send 2 defensemen. Now the Pacific sends 3 just because you can't not send Doughty. You can't not send Burns or Karlsson. You can't just pick one of them. The league needs their big names there. So the Pacific gets to send 3 and 1 less forward. But everyone else is only sending 2 defensemen. That means look at how limiting that is. 2 defensemen from the entire division get to go to the All-Star game. Really? There's only 2 All-Star defensemen in an entire division? I highly, highly doubt that. It's just ridiculous how limiting this roster setup is, where really there are so many players that are deserving to go that don't get to go. And it sucks, but Morgan Rielly absolutely should be going. Now, switching over to the Western Conference, the Central Division, quite a few big names in this Central Division not going. Jonathan Toews, Gabe Landeskog, Tyler Seguin, Zach Parise, Philip Forsberg, Vladimir Tarasenko. I don't know how he got on the list. He's having an awful year. Patrick Laine, not an All-Star. But my number one snub from the Central Division, who I will be voting for in the last man standing vote, is Gabriel Landeskog from the Colorado Avalanche. Rantanen and McKinnon got to go, but no Landeskog? Come on, guys. I want that line together. I forgot the 41 games played for Landeskog, 24 goals, 21 assists for 45 points. So he's over a point per game this season. McKinnon and Rantanen are going already. You got to send Landeskog. He has got to go. Put that line together. Have them play together in the game. Probably the most exciting and explosive line in all of hockey is Colorado's first line, McKinnon, Landeskog, and Rantanen. And I would absolutely love to see them on the ice together 3-on-3 in the All-Star game. I think they would absolutely tear it up. They play really, really well together. And all 3 of them are deserving. I mean, Landeskog has 24 goals this year, over a point per game. There's no reason for him not to go to the All-Star game. He's my pick from the Central Division. And lastly, we have the Pacific. And my pick from the Pacific is Logan Couture from the San Jose Sharks. He's having a great season. 42 games played. He's got 15 goals, 26 assists for 41 points. Again, just shy of a point per game, but still off to a great start. Joe Pavelski's already going for San Jose. Burns and Karlsson are going for San Jose. So there's already 3 Sharks going, which obviously would make it tough for Couture to... If he goes, then you have 4 San Jose Sharks going. But of all of the guys... in the Pacific, Getzlaf, Ekman Larson, Giordano, Draisaitl, Kopitar, Couture, Besser, and Marchessault. I think Couture is my top pick. I think he's having the best season, and I definitely think that he deserves to go. So, as far as the last man standing vote for each division, this is for the final roster spot in the All-Star game by team, which is broken up by division. In the Metro, I will be voting for Kyle Palmieri. In the Atlantic, I'll be voting for Morgan Riley, and I think he's the biggest snub of this entire All-Star game. In the Central, it will be Gabriel Landeskog, and in the Pacific, Logan Couture. I think these guys all deserve to go, and they have my vote as for the last man in for each of their respective division teams. There are many other players who I think are snubs, but just given the way that this is set up with this 3-on-3 tournament, you have very small all-star rosters. And there are a large number of players who should be going that don't get to go because the rosters are so limited, especially defensemen. Generally, only 2 defensemen from each division get to go. That leaves a ton of great D-men on the outside looking in. It's just the way it is. So it sucks that a lot of these guys that deserve to go won't get to, but those 4 have my vote to get in and as their the last spot for each team. So let me know who you guys will be voting for in the last man in vote down in the comment section below. Feel free to disagree or agree with me. Just let me know why you think that in the comment section. And with that, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. Check out offthewallhockey.com. All those links are down in the description below. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon and merchandise store are in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.